and welcome to the very first edition of A Cup of Conversation for the year 2019. And what better way to start the programme or the year off with is actually with a good old friend of ours, Mr. D.U. Sivri. And Sivri has been on the programme for, well, 2 or 3 times now. It's a hat-trick, I think, today for the TV. And he's always a great guest, somebody to inspire us, somebody to really get us into the positive mood for 2019, and maybe to inspire you if you're feeling a bit down. Because Sivri's got many books, and the most recent one is The Secrets of Life and Beyond. But also, I would like to talk about a novel, the very first novel he's written, which is called The Mind Reader, The Countdown Has Begun. So, welcome back to the studio, Sivri. Welcome to A Cup of Conversation.
Thank you, Jan. It's a great honour and pleasure to be here again. You know, lovely to talk to you as always. I'm more than happy to come and to talk about my books with you. I really do love coming here. Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here. You're such a great talker, very informative, such a gentleman.
Thank you.
Such a psychotherapist and author, dare I say it. You are a psychotherapist by trade. You're a Turkish Cypriot born in London like I was.
Yes.
I think you were in the east of London, weren't you?
That's right. As I mentioned before, my parents are from Cyprus. My father was in the British Police here, British Army, stationed here, then Germany, then UK. So naturally I was born in London like your good self. And yeah, I studied there, and I also studied in Scandinavia. I lived there, so I studied psychology, psychotherapy, different types of counselling, and then the writing followed on from that, really.
I have to say, maybe it's a bit, you know, cliche, but you really do have the persona of a gentleman of the profession of psychotherapist. You know, you have a very polite, calm, relaxing manner about you, which I'm sure many of your clients appreciate when they come and visit you, maybe for the first time, knowing of what's going to happen when they walk through your door. But you know, I think you've chosen the right profession for your personality. Do you believe that as well?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've heard that before. So you know, your observations are spot on. When someone comes to you for the first time, they don't know what to expect, and a lot of people haven't had counselling or therapy before, so they're a bit nervous or they're a bit hyper. So my job is to also calm them down and to relax them and to get them to talk, because by talking, then we can sort of fix what's wrong. I get to hear what's happening in their lives, how their minds are thinking, any maladaptive thoughts and behaviours that I can change. So well, my job is to sort of calm people down. And also through my job, I've calmed down, because I know it's quite an important job I do. So you've got to have this sort of certain persona about yourself, correct?
We met, and you reminded me off air, I think back in October 2015. So it's over 3 years now since we first met.
Correct, yeah, October 2015.
And you came with your very first book.
Correct, that's right.
And you said then on the first interview, I remember, what I'm going to do, I have a series of books.
That's right.
And about 10 was your sort of aim at the time.
That's correct.
And
yes.
within 3 years, you've actually achieved that dream.
Exactly, thank you. Yeah, I really got sort of writing, the writing juices got flowing actually, because once the first book is out of the way, you realise you can do it. And I thought, yeah, I've got so much I need to write, so much I need to say, so much is up in my mind, and things have happened to me through work and dealing with people, working with people. And, you know, I think as anything, as I mentioned earlier with Denise Phillips, once you knock the first domino over, that's it, you know, they keep going. So the first book was the tough one. And once I did that, you know, it just literally all came out of me. 7 self-help books now, 1 novel, and 2 poetry books actually as well thrown
in. Amazing. Very prolific writer.
Thank you.
Sivri. And
thank you.
Your books are, as you said, self-help. The main ones are the series that you've got, and the most recent one, which is The Secrets of Life and Beyond by D.U. Sivri. If I look back to your previous books, the first one that you had, was it The Secrets of Existence and Fulfillment?
Correct,
wasn't it?
That was the first one.
That was the time that we first interviewed you.
Correct, exactly. That was the one October 15 we first spoke about.
And since then, you've gone on to The Secrets of Calmness and Inner Peace, The Secrets of Life and Beyond, The Secrets of Confidence and Success, The Secrets of Connecting and Understanding, The Secrets of Love and Attraction, and The Secrets of Unlocking Your Career Potential. And so Life and Beyond is really one in the series of the self-help books, which are based, and I remember, and I believe this is similar as well, case studies that you sort of, obviously you can't reveal your clients' real names or...
Exactly.
But you base your stories and self-help books on case studies that you have.
Exactly.
And how we can relate to them in our own daily lives.
Absolutely right, because as I said, working with people, as they say in the UK, there's now as queer as folk. So, some people have got some deep-rooted issues, some people have got day-to-day issues, some people have got just general life issues. And some people's perceptions of things are maybe slightly warped. So it's about reining things in for people so they understand their lives much better. And also, with the case studies, as you say, I changed the names, of course. But a lot of the solutions that I've worked with people, I've analysed them again myself, how it worked and what I said and the type of techniques and tools that were used, and then sort of put it into a book format. So anyone suffering in some way or needs help or improvement can actually pick up a book and find something relevant to them. And as you said, the series, what have I found out over the years? People need help with overactive minds, hence Calmness and Inner Peace, secrets of that. Confidence and success. Some people naturally lack self-esteem or they have confidence issues, so that book helps them. And everything with careers, with love, relationships. So this one's a bit more spiritual, actually. What I found out as well is also, as we get older, both myself included and a lot of my clients, the questions start to change and our perceptions start to change. We start to ask more about our lives and what the meaning of life is. And of course, we're thinking of our next phase in life. So a lot of people then need help with that. And this book really is a homage to a lot of people who've maybe sort of thought deeper about who they are and their lives.
When we first met 3 years ago, you were more based in the UK than you were here. But
That's
over
right.
the time, I know that you have a busy schedule and you are here and in the UK. But are you more inclined to be staying here in the TRMC now?
That's right, Jan. Just over 3 years ago, and before that, obviously I'd come to Cyprus quite a lot before that. But then I sort of made an active decision to spend more time here. So, of course, I can't have as many face-to-face clients as I had before in the UK, but I still go back now and again when I have maybe some people to see or some people want to see me face-to-face.
Yeah. But
a lot of my work now is also done online and with telephone sessions and things like that. So I could be based anywhere in the world, really. That's the beauty of my job. My skills really are here, so wherever I am, so long as I have communication, that works. So then what I've done, to answer your question more directly, I've decided to sort of write more to help as many people as I can. And I realised the best place for that was here, because it's a lot calmer, less stress and easier to write than in the UK.
Less distraction for you, maybe, if you were in the UK running around London and too much going on there to distract you.
We're
here, a calmer pace of life.
Absolutely.
And so, as we said, you're a psychotherapist and you are actually no stranger to radio and TV, because you said to me that you've been invited to make TV and radio programs in the UK.
That's right.
As a guest speaker.
That's correct.
So you have a lot to share with people. So you are very good with communicating, not just with your clients, but with an audience as well.
Thank you, Jan. Yeah, thank you for touching on that, because again, it's like any job, as we've discussed before and just before we came on air, your job is, to make people feel calm and sometimes to lead the way in an interview. And also for me, knowing I'm on the radio giving advice to people or on TV, for example, wherever it might be, I've got a certain responsibility. So whatever you do in life, you've got to be able to express yourself, and communication's the key. That's my point here. So, whatever it is you do, however good you are at it, if you've got the ability to communicate it, people are more likely to listen to you as well. Or you build yourself a platform where they can hear you. But it starts with actually having either an innate ability to communicate or developing that over the years. So I think, for both of us, as we've also mentioned, we're good communicators, I think, and we like to talk. So that's made it easier, I guess.
That's true for me.
Me too.
You can maybe psychoanalyze me. Why is this small man talking so much? And another study case for DU Sivri. But on a personal note, one of the reasons why I'm so happy that you are here today with us is that I read The Mind Reader, which came out last year, and this is your first novel, something that is, close to your heart, but not real life.
Exactly.
You know, we're talking about fiction here.
Exactly.
We're talking about your first, you know, entry into the world where you can open up your own mind and make your own character.
Exactly.
And I was really, really impressed with your book.
Thank you.
And I wanted to see how somebody like you, how your mind works, what type of book you would be writing, what type of storyline you would be sharing with your readers, with your audience. And Denise asked you this on the radio when you had your radio interview with her recently as well. Is the protagonist based on yourself? And I think in a lot of ways it is, because the way you describe, I mean, the guy, he's a psychological profiler.
Exactly.
He sees whether that guy is right for the right job.
Exactly.
Flying high with lots of money. He has a lovely wife. He's got the same dog that you've got, which is
a coincidence.
A coincidence.
Coincidence.
Italian Mastiff, isn't it?
That's correct. Yep, he has. The character has. So knowing the traits of the dog and my missus, you know, I sort of, let's say, changed it a bit so it fits into the book. But as every fiction writer knows, you've got to make it believable. So the more believable it is, of course, the better the storyline. In my opinion as well, having read a lot of fiction books as well as non-fiction books. So yeah, it is loosely based on me, of course, in terms of the job and everything. And I've taken a lot of what I know in psychology and applied it to my character. And of course, where he grew up, where he lives, where he works, you know, in the East End, and also the City of London. Again, I know these areas very well, the type of dog he has, and the type of things he does, the places he frequents, you know, I know them well. So the character, I thought a lot of his positive traits, I could base it on me, what I know.
Yeah.
But of course, I think a character needs a bit of a bite, let's say. You need to sort of be able to provoke people in some way.
Yeah.
And so he needs that quality so people remember him or get angry or shout at him, as Denise mentioned earlier in my interview with her, you know, what's he saying that for and why is he doing that? So if you can get that in a character, you know, it sticks in people's minds. And the negative sides of the character are based on one or two people I know. Not that they're negative, but some of the things they say or some of the things they say in private. Because, you know, sometimes we do have a private persona, of course, and a public one. And they're not the same, you know.
I didn't really think of it in that way, as in analysing the character's character, should I say?
Yeah.
His character. I didn't think, even though Denise and maybe other people might say, oh, you know, he's a bit anti-women, you know, why is he saying this, or why is he treating women this way? But I actually found the story more of a thriller. The way, I mean, maybe it started as a psychological thing about the guy, but it came into, you know, a cat and mouse chase really at the end.
Exactly.
And there's a lovely twist, which I didn't expect, which I thought was very brilliantly crafted.
Thank you.
You couldn't have guessed that at all. I didn't think that was going to happen at the end. But I thought of it more of a thriller, which is probably what the male perspective would have seen, or people who like thrillers would have brought out of your book. But when you were writing The Mind Reader, obviously the name gives it away, you know, you're still talking about psychology, but were you thinking of it in a psychological point of view, or something completely different, as a thriller point of view? I mean, how did you come to write this book? What was your inspiration?
Okay, excellent. Yeah, because when you're writing a book, you construct it in certain ways and certain levels. I studied psychology a bit later on, you know, for O-level and A-level. I actually studied English literature, so things like Wordsworth, Shakespeare, Jane Austen, Scott F. Fitzgerald, etc., etc. George Orwell, who's my favourite author. I did 1984, for example, the book for O-level and A-level. The point being, you analyse books in a different way and characters. So having that background probably influences me when I write, and I'm not always aware of it. The point being, when I was writing this, of course, I wrote it as a thriller, a psychological thriller. But, as I said, you need a strong character people can relate to, either love, hate, agree, disagree with, because that's what evokes emotion in people. And you're right, for men, they see things differently. And women see things differently. You know, going back to psychology, men first look at things, then they develop feelings for things. Women develop feelings first, and then they look at what sort of evokes that feeling. So a man would read maybe a psychological thriller and understand the sort of cat and mouse aspect of it and what's happening, the chase, and who's trying to outsmart who.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman would read it in an emotional way, based on the emotions it evokes in her. So when I thought of the character Alex King, I thought, how can I create someone that would appeal to men and women, and also fit him into a storyline where, you know, there is this element of psychology and a thriller and crime. And so it's quite difficult, but I think when you sort of look at the two aspects, who your readers are, and it's men and women, you've got to be able to appeal to both of them. So I think that's how I constructed the storyline and the book and the character.
So when you're writing, I mean, you know, you've only got one novel, but is it a different D.U. Sivri sitting at the laptop than it is to the D.U. Sivri writing for a self-help book? I mean, do you try and think differently? Because it must be very difficult for you. You know, your whole life, your whole professional career has been based on listening to other people's problems or supporting other people in difficult times. And then when you want to write a different book that is not to do with your profession, is it easy to switch between the two different genres?
Good question, really good question. That's why I decided to work with psychological thrillers or a psychological crime type story, because the psychology aspect is what I know best. You know, I didn't make it like a romantic thriller or a sci-fi novel, you know, or, you know, the underworld fights, you know, the Middle Earth and there's a battle for the kingdom, because that's not the way my mind works. And there are other writers who are very good at that, or space, sci-fi. Again, grew up, love Star Wars, you know, love all that stuff, but it's not the way I think and write. Whereas a psychological thriller, because I have the psychology background, I know how to build the suspense in a psychological way. So again, to answer your question directly, yes and no. Yes, of course, when you write in fiction, it's all about your imagination and what is in there to come out. Whereas non-fiction, you know, there's a format that you need to follow, and almost scientific, especially with psychology. So no, as well, in that our imaginations, all of us, you know, can run riot sometimes. So there's no actual correlation between the fiction side and non-fiction. The correlation is me, what connection I make between the two.
It is very interesting, and like I said, I mean, I really enjoyed The Mind Reader. It was one of the books I was waiting for you to share.
Thank you.
That, I just wanted to, I don't know, because I'd met you before, I thought, well, what will Sivri produce as a piece of non-fiction? As a piece of fiction for us, should I say? Instead of non-fiction, instead of all the wonderful self-help books that you've given to so many people throughout the whole year, which I'm sure has helped many in their process of trying to analyse life. Because I think now, in this day and age, do you believe that people are more turning to books like this to help themselves, to try and find an answer to a problem they might have, be it with either relationships or work issues, or I don't know, with anything? Because there isn't anybody out there really who hasn't got some sort of issue that they need to deal with.
Excellent question again, Jan. Yeah, again.
We all have that sort of hang-up.
Because there's no such thing as normal. You know, when people say, oh, normally, or this person's normal or abnormal, there's no such thing as normal. The question is, to what extent or to what degree are we sort of removed from this normality? So because of that, of course, we might have our hang-ups, we might have our own issues, things we have to work with and develop. So, you know, as human beings, we all have that issue amongst us. So you're right. As a person and as a human being, you know, we have to work with ourselves first and foremost before we can develop whatever we choose to do. Yeah,
because it is very difficult for everyone now to sort of come to terms with what they are dealing with,
exactly.
You know, what's going on in their lives.
Exactly.
And so maybe a book like yours will be an easy way to sort of like, you know, well, let me get some help. You know, what will Sivri say about relationships? Or why did I go wrong again? What did I do wrong this time again? Or we're making the same mistakes. You know, how can I change so that I don't find the wrong person again?
Exactly. To elaborate on my last point and to answer your question directly, exactly right. I mean, people are looking for answers, and as I said earlier, as the older we get, the more answers we try to find. So people might look for therapists or counsellors to help them directly, or you know, a good collection of self-help books always helps, because you can read it, reread it, think about things again, try to understand it on another level. And even if you read the same book again 6 months later or 1 year later, you see things in a different way because you've changed also. You might have got a new job, you might have got divorced, you might have got into a new relationship. So what applied to you 6 months before might not be relevant 6 months later, either good and bad. So yes, you know, again, as I said, to answer your question more directly, I think more and more people are turning to self-help and personal development and trying to evaluate themselves where they are. That's why these books are quite popular, because you know, people might not admit they need help somewhere, but we all do. Going back to your original question, we all need help somewhere.
Of course, no one's perfect. No one has a perfect life.
No.
Whether it looks like it from the outside. I think that we all have some sort of issues, be it with, like I said, relationships or work or family or friendships even.
Correct.
You know, maybe you want to you have a friend who's difficult, or you have a work, you know, you're at work and you are dealing with a really tyrannical boss who,
exactly.
You know, what do you do? Leave the job, or do you try and deal with the boss in a different way?
Exactly.
You know, there are lots of questions that could be answered. You do answer in every different book that you've written.
Thank you.
This latest one, The Secrets of Life and Beyond, which you said is a bit more spiritual than previous books, but the format is similar to the other books, isn't it?
Correct.
Where you can actually delve in and delve out again. It's
Absolutely.
not like the novel where you have to start from beginning to end.
Yeah, true.
One thing that we can, which I enjoy, is that you can look at a case study, you've got notes, you've got things to share with the reader, things that we can do. For example, in certain situations in your life, you may find yourself overthinking the outcomes before, after a first date, before, after a job interview, before, after buying a house or changing jobs or moving to another area, city, country, before or after getting married or even divorced.
Or even divorced.
Things that happen in our daily life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what it is for everyone. We have the common thread that runs through all of humanity. We all want the same things. You know, it was Abraham Maslow's pyramid of empirical needs, where at the bottom we need the basic needs: shelter, of food, you know, sustenance, water, everything to survive. And then as we go up to the top of the pyramid, we've got self-actualization and self-realization. And it's when we get to the top that we start to question things: who we are, who our lives, what our lives entail, who are the people in our lives, what is it I want out of life. And it's at that point where we question things that books like this help, or even just reaching out to people like me, because sometimes people want advice or information from someone who's impartial, someone who's objective, someone who doesn't know them and just evaluates them based on who they are and what they say, with no opinion attached to it. Now, if you talk to your friends and family, they might tell you something according to what they want to tell you or how they see you or your situation. But a counsellor, a mentor, a guide, a therapist, their job is to help you, and a lot of people understand that now. Whereas before, people didn't see someone like me, you know, to help them, because they thought maybe there's something wrong with me fundamentally. Now, and even in the UK, actually thinking about it, because it's more normal in America. Everyone in America has a psychologist, a shrink, a life coach. And in the UK, what I noticed as well, people are very sort of quiet about it. They don't share it with other people. You know, if you go to their offices or to their companies or something to talk to them, you know, I've signed in before as like a financial advisor or a legal expert, but no one will say it's a life coach or my therapist or my counsellor. No one would ever say that. So it's still in the UK actually quite I wouldn't say taboo, but it's not like the States, put it that way.
It certainly isn't like the States, but I think we're coming closer to that, where, as you say, like life coach is a more general term.
Exactly.
Maybe you could be, you are now the life coach of the, you know, of the millennium.
Exactly, exactly.
Or, because I think saying psychologist, psychotherapy, psychology goes deep into your psyche, and it sounds more dangerous.
Exactly.
It sounds like, oh my God, this man's a nutter or something. Then am I mad if I go to see Sivri? But actually, it isn't madness.
Exactly.
It's a problem that you want to share. And I know that you had practice in Harley Street. In London, and you've worked in the UK for many years. Is it the typical calm room with all the leather reclining chairs, and you sit there with your, and you say, well, okay, lie down and tell me what's the problem? Is it typical? I mean, I know it's very, very facetious for me to ask this. I mean, I'm going into like as if I'm watching television, but
it's perfect. It's a perfect question.
Is that how? Because that's how I see you as your personality. You are very. I can see you doing that. Perfect. But is that how it is in reality?
Yeah, really good question again. I love your questions, by the way. It gets me thinking, and hopefully gets you thinking with the answers. But to answer that directly, yes, it is. I've worked in the city in a few practices. They're slightly more business-like, just like it is now in a way. Table, chairs. People just sitting in this type of environment, just like this, having a chat. In Harley Street, I did have the classic leather couch, where people could sort of sit back or lie back, close their eyes if they wanted, and just talk. So it depends. Now, as I said earlier, it comes to communication. You can be an expert at something, but if you can't communicate it, there's no point. In my job and in your job and a lot of other jobs, communication is the #1 most important thing, I would say. So the point to this being, if people come somewhere, they need to feel relaxed, they need to feel comfortable, they need to feel that they're not maybe in a clinic or a hospital. Do you see what I mean? Because then it makes them feel there's something wrong with them. So if you go somewhere, there's a bookcase, there's furniture, somewhere comfortable, people are more relaxed. The right lighting is important. People are more relaxed and they'll open up to you as well because they trust you, they feel safe. So it is like that. It's just how it is, So going back to your perceptions of it, it absolutely is like that. Yeah. If you have a clinic, that sounds like there's something wrong with you. So people don't like that. And also, if you go to see someone, in a home environment or an office that looks like a home, people are more relaxed. Yeah,
like you're going around to a friend's house for a cup of tea or coffee and a chat.
Absolutely, and that's the point, because so my job is to elicit information from people, to get them to talk. So if they don't want to chat, then I don't learn anything. And if I don't learn anything, I can't help them.
Yeah. It's a very difficult profession, I think, that you have, and it can't be easy to listen to all these people, because at the end of the day, those who come to you have a problem that they want to share that maybe you can help solve or help them to overcome any obstacle in front of their way. So you must get all that sort of energy, all those negative thoughts, and but as a professional, you can detach yourself. You know how to not get too much involved with them. And you were saying to me that writing is a way of you releasing all that energy that you have received all those years via your clients.
Absolutely, yes. Very good point again. Yeah, my job is quite interesting because I listen to a lot of life stories, good, bad, intriguing, weird, wonderful. And it sort of comes into me. I absorb it like a sponge. So what do I do with that? If you've got someone crying on the phone or sitting opposite you crying, or with really serious problems, I've had people sitting opposite me and talking about, maybe even ending it all, unfortunately. So how do you get that person to relax? And that's really important. So sometimes you have to give a lot of yourself, of course. And when you do that, sometimes after some sessions or working with people, I do feel exhausted, but I'm able to do that. That's me. I do disengage from things, absolutely, because I need to. And at the same time, I give the advice, I listen, and then I go away and I think about it. So having a lot of thoughts and having a lot of experiences in my life and helping a lot of people and working with a lot of people, my way of dealing with it is to sort of write, and what's happening in my mind, I like to express through words. I either speak a lot, as you can attest to, or I like to write a lot. And the last 5 years, I've written a lot more. So I've taken an active decision to disengage a bit and to focus on writing, because I've got a lot of things that have happened to me and seen a lot of people, and I think the case studies and the techniques and the tools and the cognitive behavioral techniques that I talk about, and humanistic and person-centered therapy that I write about, really helps people when they sit and read it. And it's my way of de-stressing and continuing to help other people.
It's a really good thing that you're doing, sharing all your wisdom, your thoughts with the masses, because one-to-one is okay, you're helping that person, that individual, your client, but to be able to reach out to a wider audience, it must be even more rewarding for you, because at least you know now that what you learned what you have inside your mind, other people will now be able to make good use of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one reason why I wanted to write in the first place. You know, my ambition was never to be, you know, a world famous writer. You know, I just wanted to help people. You know, the fact that, you know, being on TV and radio in other countries and also here, you know, that's a byproduct for me of actually writing. It wasn't my intention. Other people have different intentions. That's why they write, you know, to promote themselves or what they do. And yes, in a way, it is a promotion, absolutely. But my primary reason for writing was to help other people. And then, you know, from that, you know, it just developed really. But yeah, I do get great pleasure helping as many people as possible, because you think about it, someone in America can buy this book and I'm helping them there. Someone in France can buy this book, I'm helping them there. UK, Canada, wherever, they can just get the book or download it and I'm helping them. And also even with the work I do now, primarily before it's a lot more face-to-face sessions. I had to be in London, I had to be in a room, I had to be in an office or practice. But now I have clients, you know, or people contacting me from Hong Kong and America and Denmark and UK, obviously. So from all over, you know, technology is good in that way. You can still have a wide reach like that.
Putting you on the spot now, just for a second.
Sure.
Going around the world, let's come locally to the TRNC, because I always think that us Turkish Cypriots living here on the island, we must be a case study for many psychologists around the world, because such a unique situation, small island, divided. We have lots of issues here. I think being a small community as well, maybe not so easy to live the life that we want to lead, because next door neighbour will know, or you go somewhere, want to be private, but you can't be private in Northern Cyprus because everyone knows everyone here.
Very true.
Oh, I saw you, Sivri, down the road, you know, what are you doing in Karpaz, you know? What do you mean you saw me in Karpaz? I was there as well.
Exactly.
Or, you know, if someone came to you, let's say you had a clinic here, for instance, and you had locals coming in, knocking on your door, I wonder what type of problems you would see, or what type of, or would there be different cases or similar cases around the world? Because I think Northern Cyprus is unique in its people. We are sort of, we like to be not negative all the time, but a lot of the things that happen negatively affect everyone generally, you know, especially with social media. You know, one thing happens, oh, it's all negative, 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 negative. We recently had bad floods, 4 young children, well, 4 youngsters died, and we had sort of a period of national mourning even, because of the floods. A lot of people were affected. But, you know, will this happen in another country with millions of people living there? Would it happen in England or in America if there was floods and 4 people died? You know, it would be news and it would carry on again. But here, life seems to be standing still when something really drastic or tragic happens, which, is it right? Is it wrong? What do you think about Cyprus?
Yeah, very good question, actually, because, you know, having lived in countries like Denmark, which is a small country, about 5.5 million, of course the UK, and travelled extensively all over. I've lived in about 5 or 6 countries, actually, seen lots of different things. You're right. A lot of the things I noticed in Denmark are quite similar to Cyprus, because when the country's smaller, people know each other. And there they've got a mentality called Jenteloven, and that's about not showing off to people, you know, not saying to your neighbours, I'm special in any way. It's having a social conscience where you're not boasting and you're not thinking you're better than other people. And that's an ideology that runs through Denmark. Also Norway is also a Norwegian type of thinking. It's like 10 or 12 rules that the society lives by, i.e., you know, it's a small country, small towns, everybody knows everyone. You know, as much as we have sort of a global sort of ideology, it's still very localized in many ways, you know, all around the world. And of course in bigger countries it's different, because you see lots of people, if you go to London, you never see them again, you know, even walking down the street, next day you'll see lots of different people again and never see them the day after. Whereas here you keep seeing the same people all the time. And of course, depending on the country, depending on the ideology and culture, your mindset is geared towards that. You know, here, all the Cypriots know each other, so they're not going to do anything for fear, as you say, you know, people will find out, hey, I saw you there, what were you doing there, you know, who were you with? That's quite normal. Whereas, naturally, when you think about a bigger country, more people, more cars, more places to go, you can be a bit, you know, inconspicuous. You can
Yes,
sort of
definitely.
sort of disappear in the crowd, whereas everything here is conspicuous. You stand out. You know, people know you or know of you or know about you.
Yeah.
So it does change your mindset, because on the plus side, you're very wary of what you do, because you don't want people to sort of talk badly of you. But on the minus side, you can't really be yourself in that, you know, let's say you want to go out and party till whatever early hours of the morning with your friends. You know, people will always find out. You know, so say you do want to act a bit crazy now and again. You know, word will get back to your family or your parents or
What were you doing?
your bosses. What were you doing? Yeah, what were you thinking? So that's quite normal. And again, people's mentality reflects the country they're in, and the country reflects the mentality as well at the same time.
Very, very interesting, and it's something that is, I'm sure, interesting to the viewers as well, because psychology is our life. It's what we are about, the way we act, our daily lives, what we are faced with. It could be bereavement, it could be divorce, it could be changing a job, changing countries, or getting married, or having a family. It's just, I mean, in your character in The Mind Reader, I remember that he wasn't ready for a family or really committing, and you know, these are things that everyday issues in our lives, and so you're just bringing it to us with your books. You're just sharing cases where we can maybe relate to, or if you don't, you can carry on and, you know, find something you can relate to. There's something for everyone in these books.
Absolutely, life is one long list of stories, isn't it? It's like a bibliography. We all have that in our lives. You know, we talk about things we did with our friends at college or university or school. You know, we talk about things we did with colleagues. I remember we went out there, we did this, we did that. Later on with our families, this, that, our parents, and then our children or whatever. But life is just one long list of stories. That's all it is. You know, that's why they say when you're on your deathbed, make sure you've got no regrets, because all you're left with are stories and memories. That's it. You know, you can have all the money in the world, but it's not going to stop you from dying. We're all going to suffer that fate, unfortunately. So what do we have at the end? Stories, that's it. Memories, that's all we have. So books and writers and people who express themselves, they're just sort of reflecting society, reflecting stories. Of course, with me, in non-fiction, I'm working in psychology. I'm sort of mentioning things to do with helping people or problems they've had, or issues in their lives, but there's still stories. There's still, you know, this person had a relationship problem, this person problem with the boss, this person has addictive personality. So they're all stories, and it's about how to help these people. Writing a fiction book, again, it's a story. More in the classical sense of writing a story. It has a start, it has a middle, it has an end, but it's still a longer story. But all we are really at the end of the day is a list of stories.
Of course, a list of memories.
And a list of memories.
That we have.
Exactly.
That we leave behind.
That we leave behind, exactly.
We said before, your aim 3 years ago was to have a series of books, at least minimum of 10. You've reached your 10 now. But you are still writing, aren't you? And I believe you've got a self-help book coming up that is aimed more for the male market.
Exactly.
Tell us about this book, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm quite a way through it. I'd say half to 3/4 of the way through this book. And slightly more tongue-in-cheek, it's self-help, personal development. But what I've noticed over the years is that men really struggle to A, understand women, B, interact with women, C, approach women, and D, how to date and have relationships with women. You know, and it doesn't matter again if you're in Scandinavia, America, Britain, Cyprus, wherever you are, most men seem to struggle with women and they can't relate to them. So again, listen to lots of stories, going back to the previous point, over the years, helping people, analysing their situations. I decided to sort of write something that will help predominantly men. A bit more tongue-in-cheek, a bit more humorous. It's called Stop Being a Wuss, Dating Tips for Men and Women, for men about women.
I like that name.
And again, you see, because a lot of the time women send signals that men just don't pick up on, and men seem to think that if they keep buying presents or keep going out and treating a woman, you know, really well by throwing money at her, in his mind, you know, she will love him. But that's not the case. You know, women love men for different reasons, lots of different reasons, and a lot of analysis and research went into this book. You know, and I interviewed a lot of women and men as well. So, you know, what I found is that what you think as a man might work for a woman doesn't. you know, and actually in the main event show, you did notice Denise say that, you know, sometimes men with lots of money are actually boring. And that's the thing, most men think if they have money, it attracts women, but it doesn't. Or it might a certain type, but to attract a woman, you need something else, and you need to know how to trigger that attraction, how to maintain the attraction, and how to develop the relationship, you know. First it's about approaching, then dating, and then having a relationship. And most men don't know what to do, when. So,
Stop Being a Wuss is the next book in line.
Yes.
And so do you have a sort of timeline for this, where you want to, when you want to finish it? Would it be within this year?
Yeah, definitely. I think springtime I should finish, really. Spring, maybe summer. I'll definitely finish this book. and I've already sort of worked on the cover for it, and just sort of going through the main parts of the book. And as I said, it's really just to get men and to sort of shake them from their ideas or misconceptions, I would say, of what a relationship with a woman is. And there's a fine balance between, you know, being a bit cheeky, humorous, funny, a bit arrogant, and then being, you know, too arrogant or pushing women away because you don't quite understand their humour or what they want from you.
And would you say that you acquired most of this inside knowledge because of all the female clients that have come to you saying, you know, why is it that this man treated me this way, and I don't want that type of man, I want this type of man? Or...
Absolutely. A lot of it is from what women tell me as well. So where men are lucky, again, I hear it from women. I'm the conduit and gatekeeper of the information, let's say, and then I pass it on to the men in a way that men will sort of get it, you know, come on, wake up, understand what she's saying, you know. It's not that difficult. But again, it is, as I mentioned earlier, women base things on emotions they feel and then they observe, whereas men observe first and then connect some emotions to what they're seeing. And that's the real message of the book here. So yes, over the years, again, to answer your point, I've interviewed a lot of women, I've had a lot of women as clients complaining about men, and then I've taken that and used it to sort of write a book for men. And also, yeah, as I said, some things that you think will work, i.e. what should you do as a man, actually have the total opposite effect with a woman.
Very interesting. I look forward to
a copy of that.
A copy of that, please. Not that I need any help at the moment.
No,
I'm very happily married for 15 years, so you know.
We're not saying that.
But I would like to read that.
Yeah.
Sivri's been very interesting once again to speak with you, and The Mind Reader and The Secret of Life and Beyond by D.U. Sivri, two excellent books, just two out of the many that he's written. Where can we get these books? Just to quickly summarise and to conclude this interview, where are these books? They're on Amazon.
Correct. If you're in the UK, you can just ask any bookshop, and even anywhere in the world, you can get them sent to your bookshop, your local bookshop. All of them are online. They're all on Amazon sites throughout the world. They're all on Kindle, so you can actually download copies of the books and read them. And as I said, I think they're a great addition to your book collection, wherever you are in the world.
And physically, in the TRNC, they are at the bestseller bookshop.
Correct.
Both in Palakum and in Al Sanjak branches.
Exactly.
So you can go in there and ask for Sivri's books. And I think they're very, very interesting. I love the novel the most at the moment. The novel is my favourite up there in the Sivri books. And I look forward to the latest edition. But you'll keep on writing, as long as you have the inspiration and all the knowledge in your mind.
Thank you, yeah.
You'll keep on writing, won't you, Sivri?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said, that's sort of my therapy, and that's how I sort of process my world, you know, all the things that I've done, why it's happened to me, all the things I want to do, all the things I continually hear and read about, you know, that's really important. So for me, I'm sort of the conduit of lots of things happening, and it's through my books that I find satisfaction. I love writing, I love drawing as well, you know. I love using what I've got. Maybe it's a gift, or maybe I've developed it as well over the years. Combination, who knows? But that's the way I get satisfaction in life.
Once again, thanks a lot for coming in today.
My pleasure.
I wish you all the best for the new year.
Thank you. You too.
And thank you very much. I send my regards to Michelle and to your lovely Italian Mastiff, who is maybe the inspiration for the dog in your novel.
He is.
But Sivri, thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Joan. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to have
Happy
you
New Year to your families as well.
Thank you very much. And with that, we've come to the end of this very interesting chat with D.U. Sivri. Please go and get his books. Maybe it will be your resolution for 2019, your New Year's resolution, to be inspired by Sivri and his books, but always be inspired by watching a cup of conversation every week here on BRT2 TV. From me, your host, John Guzzi, I wish you all a great week. Until next time, take care and go well. Bye-bye.